Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, everybody? This is another episode of the Cogcast podcast, episode number 51, and I hope everybody's having a lovely day. It is, we're actually up and at 'em this morning recording a podcast. I still got my cup of coffee here.
I've drank mine and I'm on to water.
I was going to say, we got two fans here. We got a fan that sent us some awesome Colombian coffee.
Yes.
And we've thoroughly been enjoying it.
Yes, we have enjoyed the coffee, and we've also enjoyed the coffee cups that we drink it out of.
This is a YouTuber, and they do their own pottery. It is Reap What You Sow is the name of the guys, but they're from Louisiana, so they spell sow S-E-U-X. For y'all Southerners, y'all get that. If you don't understand that, they're just Cajun, and that's how they spell the letter O a lot of times. That E-U-X. So I hope I got that right.
I hope so too.
I know I do. We know it because of football. You know, college football is king down here in the South, and Alabama and LSU are a huge rivalry, and they spell Go Tigers, G-E-U-X.
Yes, that's correct. I will tell you, they haven't been doing this pottery that long. It's not like they're lifelong.
If she hasn't been posting very much.
Well, what I was going to say is I've been kind of following her.
It's awesome.
Her, making from the beginning, and she and they are very talented.
It is awesome.
I mean,
it is so
it
awesome.
hasn't taken her very long to get to this point.
I know I posted a picture of this, and I did it just as a thank you for them because I think it's the only coffee cup I've been using. And she, I just wanted to say thank you, so I posted it on Instagram, and there were so many people that wanted to buy this cup. I'll put a link to her Instagram down below, and y'all can contact her and see if their pottery is for sale and how she does that. I don't want to say the wrong thing about that, and just let y'all contact them. Reap What You Sow. Awesome people. And
wrote it down.
I'm glad you did, because I sure will forget.
I know. I thought to myself, you sure are promising a lot.
Oh, my gracious. Well, the fans would have let me know. They would have said, you didn't put the link down below.
You didn't put the link, and then I would have been the one to read the message, and you would have said, oh.
Oh, I forgot.
You squeaked a little.
I know. It's okay. Our headphones kind of maxed out there. And a lot of people say, why do y'all wear the headphones? Because when we wear the headphones, we can hear what you guys hear. Versus if we don't have them on, we don't know if the volume's wrong or whatever. So it's just easier for us with the headphones. And we're pretty used to them now.
All I know is I was told to put the headphones on. I didn't know why or anything like that. I just wear them because he tells me to. So.
Well, it does work out better with the headphones
I thought you
on.
thought it made me look better.
You do look cute with them on.
Yeah.
You probably could sell some mean headphones if your
I'm
headphone
wondering
company
if-
reached out to you.
I'm wondering if you're going to take us on a trip to Disney or something, trying to get us used to wearing ears. Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
We need to plan a trip down there one day.
One day.
Soon. It's been crazy.
It has been crazy. So you're feeling a lot better.
I am feeling a lot better.
I think you've been 2 days without a nap.
I have been 2 days without a nap, but was it the day before yesterday?
You crashed.
It was a 3-hour nap.
You crashed hard.
And I told you that was the hardest I've slept in 6 months, day or night.
Wasn't that the day that Marycarl went to Piper's and I took some things to the Goodwill and the flea market, and
that's what
I came back and he still wasn't awake, and I felt like I'd been gone for 3 days, and so I continued to be quiet as I was packing things up and moving around the house, and he comes down and he says, "Oh, that was some good sleep."
It was some good sleep. Man, it was crazy.
I said, maybe that was just your body's way of telling you that you had not had enough rest and you crashed really hard.
I crashed really hard that day. But I am getting better. I feel, in the morning times, I've been feeling really good. Usually come around lunch, though, I'll start getting Now it seems like about 2 or 3 o'clock. That's when I start getting tired again.
Well, we got big plans today for 2 or 3 o'clock, so you might not be able to get that.
Yeah, we've had
nap
a
in.
crazy and super productive
Few days.
week. I say a week.
Yeah.
Because we met with the architect, got all that. Mr. Joe Dobbs over there in Clanton has been a
lifesaver.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I will be the first one to admit that I thought our plans of building the Barndominium, I thought the first thing we could do is get out of hiring an architect.
Yeah, we both did.
And I thought, you know, we'll just get somebody to pour that slab and erect the building, and then we'll go in there and we'll put the walls where we want to. I'm not thinking about drains for plumbing. I'm not thinking about not knowing exactly where the walls will go up. I wonder how many times we'd put a wall up and say, oh, I don't like where that is, and take it back down.
Several.
So Jason came to me with the idea that we hire an architect, because he said, even though he had ordered graph paper and some rulers and some things to draw it up on, well, I won't say I was going to be involved in that because I wasn't. Things for him to do and draw up our own plans, he just wasn't feeling it.
I wouldn't, and I do think I could have drew out a pretty decent floor plan that I could have given to him, and he could have tweaked it and made it, you know, with the measurements and all that. But as for the measurements, I'm just not good at that stuff. I'm really not.
You know, when we met with him, it made me realize how much we did need an architect.
Yeah, because, you know, he would just say little details like you really don't want to do that on an outside wall or inside wall because of this. You don't want to put a bathroom here because you're not thinking about this. And I was like, yeah, it was like 5 little things I picked up that we would have done. And not that we would have regretted it. It wouldn't have been like a major catastrophe, but it would have been... You know,
it would have needed to be adjusted.
It would have been adjusted.
So that is one step that I am glad we did. And it's not nearly as costly as what I was expecting. You know, we had looked at oodles of plans that were pre-made plans.
Yes, we did.
And we could have easily added one to the cart and had it shipped here, but it just wasn't exactly what we were looking for.
Nothing just, I mean, we want a 3-bedroom, and you'd find a 3-bedroom, but...
Something wouldn't be right.
Something wasn't right. You know, it was just, and I didn't want to compromise. I didn't want to say, well, we'll just make this one work.
So it ended up that he's going to draw the plan for less money in turn than we could have bought a ready-made plan for.
He is, and it's going to be
what we
customized.
What we want.
Exactly what we want.
And another question that's come up time and time again is about Mama. And where will your Mama go?
She is, well, we've came up with a whole different set of concepts than the last time we talked. We're going to do a big reveal once we get all the plans in. But she's going to be in a separate structure now. We've gone back and forth on this, and she's going to have, according to Mr. Joe Dobbs, it is the same exact size house she has now.
Right. So she won't be going down in square footage. She did want a few things to be different in what she's living in now versus the new build.
Yep.
And we addressed that. So he's able to add that into what her plan will be. We plan to have a garage, and then it's all going to be one level. There won't be any stairs involved. And that's another thing I've read is, do y'all really want to put your mama where you're going to have stairs? Well, no, she's not going to have any stairs.
Hopefully none of us are going to have stairs.
Well, we will, but just our flex space will have a little stair area.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
but it's going to be on a slab, so we're not planning on having stairs anywhere to enter or exit either of our buildings.
Right.
She'll be on one level, and it will be right next to us, to where she can, come over and visit anytime, and we can do the same, help her help us, and it'll just be in 2 separate structures versus one all under one roof.
Yep. We've gone back and forth on that, building her a separate house in a totally different location to building her a place inside where, one giant structure, to now separating her out but being right next door. So I think this will work out best. Been a change, and I'm so glad because what we're looking at now is a 180 from what we were going to build 2 months ago.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like time was our friend as far as what we wanted to do.
Yes.
we were kind of frustrated to begin with that we couldn't get started building sooner. But look what all's changed in that short amount of time.
Totally changed. The house design's changed. Where your mama's gonna go has changed. Site location has changed. So a lot of stuff has changed. And speaking of site location and changing, we changed. We've talked to 4 contractors.
Yes,
We've
talked to 4 different ones, and we've showed them several spots, and it just seems like we keep going back to one particular area.
Yes.
So I had sent a site guy, I don't know what you call it, but a message yesterday because he had planned on meeting with us today.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent him a message and said, would you still be able to meet with us tomorrow? Well, I didn't get a response. And so I was feeling kind of heavy in the gut thinking that we weren't going to have,
right.
He didn't want to do the job and
Right.
he didn't want to meet with us. But I just got a text back and it said, hey, he said, I'm still on for this afternoon if you want to meet with us.
Which is great because, the contractors, they looked at the plate. What's crazy is the architect came and looked, and he suggested our second choice, and all because it was more level. But he did say, and he says, the best advice I can give you is build where you want to build.
Right.
So he said that's number 1.
Don't dilly-dally on how much field dirt it's going to take and
If
how
it's
much
within
site
your
work.
budget,
If it's within your budget, build
where
you
you
want
want to build. He said, now, for simplicity, that further up closer to the road spot would be easier and be more cost effective.
But we're so used to being off the road where we are now.
We are. But the contractors came back, and, me and you both thought they were going to say the exact same thing, build up there. Mm-hmm. Build up there, because that was going to be easier for them, build up there. But they said the total opposite.
They said you can never be too far from the road.
And build where you want to build, and they liked that spot better, even though it was going to take more work.
Yeah.
And
that's not anything they're going to benefit
That's
from.
what I'm going to say. They're not going to make a profit off the
So they were
site,
they were simply
pad.
in it for advice rather than monetary gain.
Yes.
And I felt comfortable with what they said. And so Piper's daddy was in talk with us back and forth.
Right.
He's so busy he can't get over and look at the
he's
site.
totally busy.
And we realize
perfect,
that.
and we trust him, and he would be the perfect ideal situation for us. But it's not ideal for him because he's
stretched out.
He's like most contractors are. But yeah, he is just stretched out, and he does a lot of commercial stuff. Residential is probably not his main thing. He's more commercial because they're doing a Pizza Hut now. Ain't that
Well,
what
they're finished with that.
But that kind of stuff.
A school parking lot.
So,
adding a turning lane to a state highway.
We would be something that if they wasn't busy, there's some side work that they can make money off of in between jobs or something. But they're just so busy that,
Well, and besides that, they've got their own personal
that's true
changes
too.
going
That's true.
on.
They're going through almost the exact same thing we're going through right now.
They're trying to, they're buying some land and they're redoing a structure to make it livable so they can be, and his weekends are tied up with that and his weekdays are tied up with his business. So he recommended a site guy.
He did recommend a site guy. Before we get to going on that, I will say that the contractors recommended something that nobody else has.
Yes.
And that was, we could possibly, where it gets, the land's not level, we could block, similar to kind of like we are now, but backfill it and then do a concrete slab, which we know a gentleman that had done that on a house that he built. And that never crossed our mind.
No, and this site guy that's coming today, that's not something that he could do.
No.
So we want his opinion to how many loads of dirt does he think it'll take to come in and make this site level, and how much, how much will it take? Monetary.
That's right.
And because right now the site kind of goes like this, and we need it to be like this.
Yeah.
So taking those edges and bringing them up on both sides.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to tell us more about that. Visually looking at it, it looks level to me, but it's a long way off.
Hopefully he brings his laser and he shoots it and gives us an idea.
Yeah, and Another thing is they dug in the bottom to where we were potentially going to put a pond.
Yes.
And so there's some dirt that's already sitting there. The contractor suggested maybe even asking the site guy, can you use some of that fill?
Yeah.
And bring it up versus going somewhere and purchasing fill. So that, I mean, we got a lot of questions for him.
Plus, we did find out, luckily, like right down the road from us is a place that they can
pit.
get fill from.
A pit, yeah.
The contractor said is great dirt because it compacts very well and would be ideal for a house site.
Right.
And that would save money too because they don't have to drive a long ways.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the guy that's coming to look, he is a friend of Ross's. I don't know how. I don't know if he works with him or what, but
Right.
He lives in our area.
Yes.
So he knows the area. He knows where he can get dirt from. He knows how many miles it's going to take him to go from point A to point B. And
right.
I think that if this works out, it'll be our best bet.
Yeah, I agree. So fingers crossed that today is a good day and it all works out for us. I'd say so far, it was like 2 months of us just not knowing.
We were sitting here twiddling our fingers.
Not knowing what to do, what steps should we take next, just not knowing anything to, like in the last 3 days, we've picked out and ordered our windows.
Yes.
We've picked out and ordered our doors, exterior. And the reason being that those things are at least 8 weeks out, if not longer. We did our garage doors. The garage doors are 14 weeks out. And it's all due to COVID.
Yeah, so we met with the architect 7 days ago today. Yeah, and in those 7 days, he has gotten back to us and told us a window schedule and a door schedule. And I think that just, oh my gosh, that was such a relief to me to have those dimensions in my hand to where we could order the doors and window. We already knew what we wanted. It was just a matter of getting sizes. Yeah. You got to know on your doors, do you want right hand or left hand swing, in swing, out swing? It was a big accomplishment.
It was.
To realize what we needed as far as doors and windows, and we did order those yesterday.
Ordered all that yesterday, and such a relief. It was a little
hectic.
Well, that and made me really anxious because you're not putting your hands on anything right now. There's nothing to look at, physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we didn't go into a Home Depot or Lowe's and pick out our doors. We were working with a guy that we worked with on our build.
Yeah, somebody we know and trust, and this is what he does for a living.
That's what he does for a living, and he had given us some catalogs and some literature to look over, and that's probably been 2 months ago.
Yeah, it was.
So we still had that, and we had been thumbing through, and we knew what we liked.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of having those dimensions in hand and going from what we liked to the size we needed and make it work.
Yeah,
and he did all that for us.
He does, and he's been doing this his whole life. We've known him forever. We trust him so much. And he'll gives us great advice. Hey, let's don't do that because it's not going to look right.
This is
the
not
grain's going to be different. Those panes, just that's what we like.
Yes, and he got those ordered for us yesterday.
Yes,
and he said it's going to be 8 weeks, which in turn is going to turn around and fall just about in our favor because Mr. Joe, our architect, said that it's probably going to be about 4 weeks before he gets our plan.
Yes,
our entire plan
and when he
back
meets
to
with
us.
Yes.
Yeah, so about 4 weeks out on that, and we need the windows and doors in hand in order for the contractors to cut the metal out, trim around them, and install the windows and doors.
Got to do all that at that time. If he does not have the windows and doors, they can't do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, we've got to have windows and doors on site. So that was our first step, is getting those to where they can be delivered and ready when we're ready for contractors.
Yes. And that's what
So basically,
in the last week, I'm going to say this, the architect has been a blessing.
Yes.
Just been so helpful, nice, because we had dealt with one earlier that had zero communication.
Oh, gosh.
And, he may be the nicest guy in the world. We don't know. But just hardly, you would randomly get an email or a message, and you would respond back, and you wouldn't hear nothing back. And so, this architect has been super, super friendly and has communicated with us so much.
I feel like, if you're too busy to take on a project,
let us
then
know.
be honest and say, I'm too busy to take on another project. Mr. Joe told us at one point, I'm too busy to do this. I need to wait a few weeks until my schedule slows down a little bit. And we did that.
Yep.
And we met with him on his terms, and I just respect his,
I agree. Well, the same thing with the contractors. We've dealt with 3 contractors before this one about building a metal building. And really the only reason that we reached out to these guys is because they can do all metal.
They can do all metal. They can pour the slab. They can erect the building.
Right.
They can put the doors and windows in and get it in the dry for us.
But other guys could have done that, but they didn't do all metal. It would have been a pole barn house.
It would have been a pole barn house. And after, the cost of wood is still, it's coming down some, but it's still on up there. So wood versus metal was, to me, a no-brainer that if we could do metal and it not cost much more to do the metal.
Just to be honest with everybody, the wood build, the pole barn house with wood versus an all steel house with a steel metal I-beams was $3,000 difference.
It was $2,000 difference.
$2,000 difference. $2,000 difference.
And we got them to figure it both ways because they build both ways.
They build both ways.
And they came back to me and they said, it's just a no-brainer this day and time that you would want metal over wood.
Yes.
If the cost is that close.
Well, we've gotten 2 estimates already, and their all steel estimate was cheaper than one of the guys' builds and was, right along with the all wood. So, I mean, it was just a no-brainer for us to go all steel. Just the sheer strength of an all steel building versus the wood, and stuff like fire and insects. You don't have to worry about any of that.
That's right. And we don't have to worry about a pole being down in the ground that's going to potentially rot over time.
Yep.
May not be during our lifetime, but I still didn't want the burden over my head of knowing that there's a pole down in the ground. And if you've ever put up a fence, a fence pole that's been there for a while is going to eventually rot. And that's what I could foresee happening with our pole barn build.
Yeah, I agree. Even though we've been told so many times just that, it probably won't rot in your lifetime. Yeah.
It's just the fact that we have houses that have been here since the 1800s, 1700s
in our area
sometimes, and they're still standing. And I don't want my structure, even though I might be dead and gone, to have fallen down because the poles have rotted.
That's right. And getting back to the last week, how things have fallen into place. The contractors, the new ones, have been just as
efficient as the architect.
I mean, they've communicated with us. I would say the architect averages 2 texts a day, it seems like, and the builder the same way. They're just keeping in touch, asking questions. Have you talked to this or any question we've asked? Just boom, they're both immediately responsive.
Get an answer.
Yes.
And we didn't feel that way on their first builder. He had time to do it. We liked his meeting with us and what he had to say, but his communication wasn't there.
Just super busy.
I think that's what it amounted to. And not to say these guys aren't super busy, they just have a lot of manpower.
I was going to say that's the difference. I think the first contractor had the lack of manpower, and these guys
he straight up told us, I can't find employees.
I can't find help. Yep.
And we know that.
Yes.
We know that workers are in shortage right now.
Right.
But this metal building supplier, they have had employees that have stuck with them throughout, the years, and they're still on that same schedule. So to have this fall into place with us, for us, to where we can work with 2 people that we feel like communicate well is on the top of our things that we needed.
Well, then next was the garage door guy that our windows and door guy suggested for us.
Our window and door guy.
Whose name is Brian.
His name is Brian. He's at Crossroads Supply. Is that what it's called?
I have no idea because they had changed names.
Crossroads is what it's called, and it's in Chilton County. Brian is the manager, and he is who we worked with on a previous build. And so Brian suggested this guy to me to get with about garage doors. And so I contacted the garage door guy, and he immediately got back with me. We talked on the phone. We went over what I wanted. I picked something out, got back with him. He got me prices, and lo and behold, we ordered those yesterday.
So that was like boom. And so it's just been, and hopefully the site guy who we meet with today we get the same vibe off him as we have everybody in this past week.
So far, every time I've talked to him on the phone. I've communicated with him through text several times, and everything has been just, the way it should be. Now, I didn't get a text from him last night after I texted him, and I felt kind of like, oh, he didn't want to do the job, but it was after hours, and he got back with me first thing this morning. So
right, who knows? He may cut his phone off.
I don't blame him if he does. I might cut mine off.
That's right.
So everything is falling into place, and
everything is falling into place. And I think that we may do a video coming up showing like a reveal of what doors and windows we picked out and garage door we picked out. I think maybe people would want to know that.
Yeah, because we had some issues. We liked the wood look of the doors, and we ended up finding out some information about the humidity in our area versus wood doors, and we decided to go a different route. So I'm not going to get into all that because I think that would make a good reveal.
I think so too, and I think our fans would like to see what we're doing.
Yeah, another thing was we liked the look of the black windows, but we were told about fading over time, and I didn't want a gray window. I wanted a black window. So, we'll tell you about what we decided to do as far as windows and our choice there. And I don't know. I think people would be interested to see on what we choose.
I think so too.
So that leads us to what we've been doing in our time away from dealing with the architect and dealing with the builder and such as that. And we have been hot and heavy on the figs here lately.
I need to pick today. I should have picked yesterday. And a matter of fact, we recorded a video yesterday, and I said that I was going to come back and pick them. And we got sidetracked because the windows and doors started coming and going, and that communication started coming and going, that it just went.
Well, I'm going to tell y'all something. These freeze-dried figs taste like candy.
They have been this has been a shocker. I'm going to be honest with you. All the other fruit we've done have been really, really good. I'm not going to lie. The peaches, matter of fact, I told you I've been putting peaches on my Cheerios in the morning, freeze-dried peaches, and they're so good. But this was a shocker. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect them to taste this good.
Well, this is just a prime example that you don't lose any of the fruit.
No, you don't lose any of the fruit.
So there's the fig I'm sure this is not part A and part B that goes together, but this is what it would have looked like in its initial state. And so we sliced them in half, which took all of about 3 minutes to slice all those figs in half.
As a matter of fact, the last batch I did all by myself because you were down. I had gotten tired. I came home. You were finishing up some chores down there, and I picked figs and came straight onto the house. I washed them, sliced them, put them on trays, put them in the freeze dryer, started a freeze dryer.
Before I got back.
And it probably took me 5 minutes.
Before you did that batch, Marycarl did it all by herself.
Marycarl did it. Yep.
Marycarl and Jason had picked the figs and came home, and she wanted to do it. So I got her a cutting board out. I got her a knife. I gave her special instructions to be very careful.
Right.
Which she, of course, is. Very mature 11-year-old.
Right.
And she sliced them, put them on the trays, and I helped her put them in the freeze dryer. Not that she needed any help doing that, but.
And they taste just like they did when we pick them. But, I told you, was it yesterday? A light bulb went off. Was that because you can add water to them and they turn just like they were just like a fresh fig when you add water to them. And a light bulb went off, and I said, you know what we could do with these? We don't have time now. That's what I told you. I said, we don't have time now. I said, but for future use, because what was happening to us is we would pick this bag full. I won't spill it.
Don't spill it.
This bag full of figs, and we love fig preserves, but this would be not worth doing.
Yeah, for a whole batch. But we could freeze dry them and pick 2 or 3 batches, put them in a pot of water, which you do anyways, let them reconstitute, and
you could make fig preserves just like you
and
picked
I
them that
can
day.
even wait and do it when we get in our new house.
Yes, we could. We could put them in some vacuum seal bags or those Mylar bags from Harvest Right, and wait a year from now and do them.
So some questions that I saw was, well, what are they like? They look like they're crunchy. Well, guess what?
They are.
Listen.
It is. It's
That
like a
is
snack.
crunchy.
It is the texture is very similar to, I always say, you ever bought a brand spanking new box of Lucky Charms and the marshmallows in there. You know how the brand new box, not one that's been sitting in your pantry for a few days, that brand new box when you first open it, that marshmallow, that's the kind of texture it reminds me of.
Yeah. It is. It's that same similar texture. I have found myself eating more than I probably should at one sitting.
Yes.
Well, not even sitting. I just grab a handful and walk around with them. Not that they're not good for me, but I just wouldn't eat that many fresh ones.
No, not at all.
It's been so nice to have these just sitting on the kitchen counter, and you can just eat figs whenever you want to. We can take them with us over to the 40, have us a bag full of healthy snacks.
Yes.
Put them in our pantry, and, next month, if we decide we want to have some, open them up and eat them from that. I've got them all in my teeth, so that's why I'm kind of looking like a fruitcake over here. But it's awesome. It's awesome.
I tell you, I'm very anxious to see at some point. And like I said, we can't do it now because you guys don't know we are been packing. You can see I got a light right here. That's the light I usually have shining on us. But we've been.
Oh, we've cleaned out attics.
If you can see the sides of us right now, there's boxes over here and there's boxes over here.
Our whole house is non-stop boxes.
Yes, there's boxes. We don't even have a dining room table right now.
No, we don't. Piper came over one day this week, and I apologized to her as I was bringing her to the house. I said, Piper, you're not going to believe what our house looks like. She said, Miss Brooke, I'm used to it.
Yes.
Because they just do the same thing. So she knows about boxes and packing and all that. But yeah, I hadn't gotten to the point where I can't find anything yet because the things that we have packed away are things that we don't use on a daily basis.
Right.
But it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming to the point where, I did ask Marycarl where, oh goodness, what did I ask her? Where something was, and she said it's packed away. Oh, a receipt book. Because I was going to give the garage door guy a deposit.
Oh, okay.
And I said, Marycarl, you have those little receipt books that she likes to play with, and she gives her Nana a receipt when she buys bird supplies in her bird supply store. And she said, Mama, they're packed away. I don't know where they are. So that was my first experience with something being packed away that I could have used. Not that I can print something out at any time, but I just remember those receipt books.
Yep. And because getting back to that is that I packed all the canning stuff up about a week ago.
Oh, well, I hadn't tried to use it, so.
And I knew that we probably wasn't going to can anything.
We don't have time.
Just
we
don't have
time.
Yep.
But somebody said on a comment that, do you have to put them in the refrigerator?
Nope.
No, we put ours in Ziploc bags because we've been eating them as snacks. But if you put them in the Mylar bags that can be sealed, they can last up to 25 years.
25 years what's great about it is you do not lose anything. The flavor's there.
Even in the Ziploc bag, we did these started 3 weeks ago or so, and they're still just the same flavor as they were when we put them in.
I think they'll stay like this for about 3 months, give or take, maybe even longer. So you can even put them in. We put them in mason jars. I think they said 6 months is what I saw.
Well, these are
jars.
A bigger size fruit.
They wouldn't fit in mason
we did put strawberries in mason jars, and what else do we put in mason jars? Peaches, maybe.
Pineapple.
We did some watermelon. But I will tell y'all that the figs have been my favorite.
The figs have been they've been my favorite too. As for just a snack, eating them, figs
Not
have been
to
really
say
good.
that the other things weren't good because they definitely were. Maybe it's just my taste likes the fig better.
And I will say this: when you do freeze dry something,
it enhances
the
that
flavor is more concentrated because the water content's gone. So there's nothing to dilute it. So the flavor is really, really intense. So the figs have a milder flavor because I know like the strawberries are super strawberry.
Yeah.
And so that it's a really, really intense flavor. is delicious.
Oh yeah.
But if you don't like that, then I could see how.
I don't know how you cannot like it. If you like the taste of the fruit beforehand, then you will definitely like it after it's freeze
Well, I
dried.
think that's why you like these better, because that figgy flavor is more enhanced, but on the same hand, it's not extremely strong.
Well, I'll tell you this: I don't particularly like the texture of a fresh fig.
Really?
It's kind of ooey and gooey, and I don't know why. I just don't care for that squishiness of it. And I kind of don't care for strawberries
Yeah, you're not a big strawberry person.
in a fresh
Right.
content. I like them better in the crunchy state.
Interesting.
So maybe that's why I like them so much.
I love fresh figs. I don't know. We're different.
I'm a more vegetable person than I am a fruit person.
You are.
I like just most, not to say I don't like the fruits. It's something to do with my teeth and the way that it feels.
It's probably the acidity.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I have eaten my weight in these figs.
You have.
Tyson told me the other day, I said, I have eaten so many of these figs. He said, they're going to make you go to the bathroom. And I thought to myself, I thought back on how many I'd eaten, and I thought, uh-oh, hope we don't have any plans for today. Because I had eaten at least a half of a Ziploc bag.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep, you told me they were going to make me have to go to the bathroom.
I did tell you that, didn't I?
You might have said have a bowel movement. I'm not
I think
sure
I said
how.
regular. I think it's going to make you real regular.
Make me real regular. But nonetheless, I ate a whole bag of them, and I didn't see any effects. So
They've been good. They've been really,
they
really
have.
good.
So that being said, we're moving right along with our selling of our house and trying to get things together for the land. We've ordered shelters for all the animals.
Yep, we have ordered
We've
shelters.
even ordered nugget shelter.
Yep. When's it going to be here?
You know, it said like August the 20th.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Remember,
That's
it's being
right.
shipped to
That's
the
right.
store, and
I
we're going to
forgot.
pick it up there.
That's right.
So we have plenty of time, but we were having a hard time trying to find something tall enough.
Yeah, because Nugget he's
about 40 foot tall, and
he's tall. Nugget's
he's not
up there.
40 foot tall.
Yeah, he's up
But,
there.
The only shelter that we could find that was suffice for him took corral panels, and is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's how you say it. Or the round pin panels that you see for horses.
And
or
what they
whatever,
suggested
cattle.
for their shelter was to set up 3 of those.
And then this.
And then it goes over the top
Yep.
of it and makes the corral panels themselves were like $130 a piece.
Yeah.
So we don't have those sitting around. So by the time we bought 3 of those and then bought the shelter to go on top of it, we would have been into some expense. So we found a shelter that was just like what we're using for the pigs over at the 40, but it's a lot taller. It's 8 foot tall, isn't it?
It's 8 foot tall, and it's like, gosh, it was really long
It's
too.
20 foot long or so.
Something like that. So the Nugget can use it, and the ducks and the geese can use it. So
And chickens or
yeah.
whatever else can use it
That
for
wants to get under
shade
there,
and
yeah.
shelter, and we can keep his feet up under there and won't have to worry about it getting wet. And we do intend on building shelters for everything and making it quirky looking like it does, it
Right.
is here. But for the temporary use
Yes.
of getting us from point A to point B, we had to buy ready-made shelters.
And I will say this: we wasn't sponsored by Shelter Logic. We, not sponsored by Shelter Logic. We bought that Shelter Logic canvas. It's a metal frame with a canvas top.
Is it
for
canvas or vinyl?
It's
Vinyl, I believe.
Is it vinyl? It's got the fabric top, and
It was fairly inexpensive. I think we paid $200 for that one.
And so many people said it was a mistake that the pigs were just going to destroy it. Not yet.
Not yet.
And I will say this too, because there's a lot of people said that it wasn't going to withstand weather. They were just going to be blown away. We've had, y'all, I cannot tell you how many severe, strong thunderstorms with straight line winds have come through our area in the past 2 months. And that shelter's still sitting there.
It's still standing, and they use it for
They
a scratching
scratch all
post.
on the side of it. Not to say that 6 months from now it's not going to be destroyed.
Or we might go over there this afternoon and it be laying on the ground. But for the time that it's been there,
so
I'm impressed
far,
with it.
I have been extremely impressed with that shelter.
We have some friends that we have recently met, Zoe and Nick, and
Uh-huh.
they live over in the area, and he drives by our land twice a day going to work. And he saw the shelter, and he couldn't figure out, what it was. And so, lo and behold, we ended up meeting them, and he had had stopped one day and saw that it was the brand Shelter Logic, and he ordered one for himself, and he is impressed with the way it's, held up for them. They haven't had it as long as we have,
Right.
but for what they're using it for, it's been perfect.
It is, and for the price,
And there again, we're
Couldn't
not
beat it.
sponsored
Yeah,
by
we're
them, so
not.
we ain't getting nothing out of it, but we wanted to give an honest review as to what we have been, exposed to up to this point.
right.
If I went over there today and it was down, then I would say, it served its purpose.
It did, and our pigs probably weigh 75, 80 pounds each now.
Right. And they are,
yeah.
under there pretty much, I don't know how many hours out of the day. They don't do a lot of walking around, so they're under there a lot.
They're under there a lot, and so far, knock on wood, it has really, really held up well.
And some people have said, hey, don't you think you ought to move that shelter over a little bit because they've dug out a wallow under that, and they'll dig the ground up in another area if you move it? Well, for one reason, the reason we hadn't done that is because Jason's been sick, and I can't move that thing by myself.
Yeah, and it's got a corkscrew style, and that's why I hadn't blown away. And I knew it wasn't going to blow away unless a tornado come through there.
And I thought we had to buy those separately, but you told me that they came with
They
it.
come with it, and that ground is really, really, it's a really tight soil. So I knew when I put that thing in there, it was not going to come out. But since it is a tight soil,
It's going to be hard to get out.
It would, yeah. Not that it's going to be impossible and take 6 hours, but
Well, it's going to work you up a sweat, and even in your state where you are right now, I don't want you out there getting hot and overdoing it.
Well, I got in trouble this week already. You had bought a whole bunch of feed, and you had bought, and you know what? You had bought a whole bunch of feed. You bought 4 bales of hay, and you took the girls, Piper and Marycarl, to the community swimming pool. And while you were gone, I was supposed to have been laying down taking a nap, but I didn't. Instead, I unloaded a lot of the feed. I did all of it.
Well, there were 6 bags left when I got back.
Yeah, and I got all the hay but 1 bale because I didn't know where exactly we needed to put it. And you told me I was in trouble.
Well, you sent me a text while I was at the pool and asked me where the such and such feed went. And I said, what? I said, you are not supposed to be unloading that feed. I can unload the feed. There's nothing wrong with me unloading the feed. I just didn't want to do it at that particular time because it was the middle of the day and the girls wanted to go swimming. So I was planning on doing it when I got home from taking them swimming, and I get home and there's 6 bags left, meaning he had put up about 24 bags.
Yeah.
And I was none too happy.
I got in trouble. I just feel like I need help around here.
Well, it's not that I'm going to leave it at that.
And I just,
I was not
and I
happy.
start feeling guilty. But you know what? That was it was either that day or was it the next day that I
when
crashed?
You were so tired?
Mm-hmm. So that may have been why.
No, it was, I think it was the day before when you crashed.
Okay.
It was the day before when you crashed because Marycarl went to Piper's one day and then Piper came here the next day.
Okay, so it was the day before I crashed.
I ain't got
so
nothing to do with that.
It didn't have nothing to do with that.
You're back on the job.
That's right.
Unload all the feed you want to. Didn't have anything to do with it. You hadn't napped since.
No, I hadn't.
You hadn't napped since that day.
I hadn't napped since
So
that
maybe
day.
that just got your body going. And
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I'm just kidding with you.
I was
You're not going to
thinking-
do any more than what you need to.
I started thinking, maybe my body is, I didn't want to create a habit of taking a darn 2 or 3 hour nap every day, and that I needed to start doing things.
Well, it can become habitual if you allow it, but
Yeah.
in your state, you need it to rest. And when Marycarl was in school, I found myself kind of worrying more than I would if she was at home, and I had a tendency to. I don't know. I guess my body was just feeling stressed because, of course, she had an immune disease and she didn't like the situation she was in having to go to school. She would rather have been homeschooled, and I didn't feel like I could do it.
Right.
And so every morning when I dropped her off, I felt an overwhelming amount of stress over me, not knowing what her day was going to be like.
Right.
And we let her little cockatiel Zert ride to school with us every single day. It just made her smile, and I felt like her day was going to go a little brighter if we started it off on a good note versus a bad note.
Right.
So when I got home from school, every day my mind was telling me to lay down, and it was just simply because I had an overwhelming amount of stress on me, and I was probably feeling a little depressed, even though I don't know if that was the underlying way that it was, but I never even told you this. But
right.
Every day when I got home, I had things that I needed to do, but my mind was telling me to lay down, and I think it was just that I was just a little down and out about her not being happy and being in a position where I felt like I could do anything about it. I felt like, here she was unhappy, and me as a mother, it was my way to turn it around, and I didn't know if I could do it or not.
I got you.
So making the decision to homeschool her was a hard one because I didn't see myself as a teacher, and I didn't know if I could, there had been in times past where I had said to her, read this or do this, and we just didn't always see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a switch changed with both her and me, and we both realized that we could make it work, and the decision to homeschool was the best one we could have ever made.
Yeah, it was. That was an awesome decision, homeschooling decision.
I had to go by a bank yesterday, and I'd never met the teller before in my life, and she was an older lady, and she said to Marycarl, she said, "Honey, have you started school yet?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, I said, "No." I said, "She's homeschooled." I said, "We'll start, and I told her when we would start. And she said, "Oh, I wish my granddaughter could be homeschooled." And I made the comment to her, I said, "Look," I said, "it was not anything about, the fact of what was going on with the COVID and all of that." I said, she did not like her situation. She did not like getting up, going to school every day, and she would rather have been homeschooled. If she had been a child that wanted to go to school,
right,
and enjoyed being in a social environment, and I would have never considered taking her out.
Yeah.
Never.
I
would have just bit the bullet and went on with it, and my feelings could have stayed with me, and I wouldn't have shared them with anybody. But she wasn't happy, and she said that her granddaughter was in the same position, that she did not want to be at school. She wanted to be homeschooled, and her parents were just not in a position where they could do that.
Yeah, and a lot of parents aren't.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I feel fortunate to be able to stay at home with her and teach her. And Marycarl, as y'all know, she's a very smart child. She doesn't have to study very much. Things just seem to come natural to her.
Yeah,
and
they do.
All the time that she was in school, it was a very academic, excelling school that she attended. She never made a B.
Nope.
Never even came close to making a B. So, that made it easy for me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to sit down and spend a whole lot of time going over things with her. She just kind of gets it. And I feel fortunate to have a child that's that way, because we're all created differently. And it wasn't that way for me. I had to, if I wanted to make good grades, I had to study.
Yeah.
And you were kind of the other way. You got it.
I didn't care. That was my problem.
Well, you didn't care, but you did well.
Yeah, but I had figured out that if I would have studied, I would have been a straight A student. And
yeah, but
I
see, Marycarl has never studied, and she still makes straight A's.
Right. And as I got older, as any kid would, if it's not pushed, that, as long as I can make a C, then I was good.
Yeah, and I kind of was that way too. I was more into sports and could care less about the academic part of it.
Right.
I don't know if I thought I was going to be an Olympian or where it was going to take me in my life, but sports were very important. And as you see today, I don't participate in any sports except for taking care of chickens in a farm. And I feel like today that I wasted a lot of my time playing sports, because not to say I didn't enjoy it, but it didn't get me anywhere in life.
It didn't, but it probably taught you a lot of stuff.
It taught me a lot of things, but in turn, I wish I had spent more time on academics than I did.
Right.
When I got to college, I did. No, I didn't struggle, but I studied because I wanted to excel, and I wasn't involved in sports, and I made straight A's.
Yeah.
So it was just a point that I never applied myself, because I felt like my sports were first and school was second. And, if I had studied, I could have done better. And
Yeah.
I wish that I had that time to go backwards. However, that was a long time ago. It's over and done, and I'm not going back.
That's right. Nothing you can do about it now.
No, nothing I can do about it now. But I did have a question about, is Marycarl homeschooled? And I wanted to just kind of get that out there, that's the whole decision behind homeschooling, was nothing to do with us and what worked best for us. It's what worked best for her.
And I will say that, we had made a decision to homeschool her 2 months before COVID even became known.
And so everybody thought that the reason that we were homeschooling was because of COVID.
Yeah.
And they kind of in turn thought that once the virus was under control that she would be back at school.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the case,
No.
because she enjoys being homeschooled and she is a good student. She's easy to teach. We both feel like that we can do what's needed to continue her education here at home. And another thing is, had we not made the decision to homeschool her, we wouldn't be moving.
Yeah, that's right, because the school would be, oh my gosh, it's already a 30-minute drive from where we are now. It would be an hour and a half drive.
Oh, you're talking about from our new place to the school? Oh, my goodness.
It'd
It
be
took
an
me
hour and a
20
half.
minutes to get there. Well, 25 minutes to get there from our house
30
down.
minutes drive from here now.
Hour and a half
Yeah,
is what it
it'd be
would
an
take.
hour and a half.
But, we never considered leaving this place ever, ever, ever.
Right.
We would have left her in her school until 12th grade if that's what she had wanted.
Right.
I would not have pulled her out of her school and made her start over if we hadn't homeschooled. So homeschooling allowed all of that to fall into place.
Yep, it did.
Because we were never looking for any land, and there was nothing available here for us land-wise. So we reached out and we were able to get something a little bit further away that worked for us. And if she was still in school, then we couldn't have bought this place and branched out to the 40.
That's right. So thank goodness for homeschooling.
Yeah, homeschooling. I mean, that opened up a big door for us.
It did open up a big door.
We had never even considered it.
Well, just think too, what would happen with my job and me, quitting the dealership to do this full time. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's right.
How that would have worked out either.
Another thing is you could have drove back and forth to your job, but it wouldn't have been wouldn't have been the norm for you because you're so used to being 15 minutes away from work.
Right.
So it would have been a big change for you to have to drive all the way from there to work. And we were going to make it happen because first of all, her schooling was out of the question.
Right.
We were going to homeschool. So we knew that was taken care of, but your job was not taken care of.
That's right.
So it all just fell into place.
It did.
And I just feel fortunate that we have a child that can learn from home and is enjoying being able to do that.
It's been a game changer for us for sure, and one that was super scary at first that both of us stressed so much about because the curriculum, and that's one thing that I would just love to stress to anybody out there who's on the fence. It's not as hard as you think.
No.
The curriculum part is not as hard as you think. And I completely understand why so many people stress out about it.
Oh, my goodness. I can remember.
But it's really not as hard as you think. Once you get over that hump of that first year, it'll be smooth sailing, in my opinion, because you learn so much.
Last year, when we were starting to talk about potentially homeschooling her, I had so many questions and so many fears that I couldn't do it. I didn't know how it worked. And each state is different as far as how the laws go, as to what you're required to report and if you have a cover school. And that's the first thing we had to do is to find out a cover school because I didn't want to be responsible for submitting all the grades and the attendance and everything. So what you do is you reach out and you find a cover school and you pay them a monthly fee, and they they handle all the record keeping for you.
Right.
And that makes it a lot easier.
It does.
So we do that. Some people can set up their self as a homeschool and be their own cover school. We didn't want that responsibility. So what we do is we use a cover school that handles all that for us.
Right.
And oh my goodness, it just seemed like so many questions about what do I choose as a curriculum, what's going to work best for my child. And you know, we reached out to a lot of people that we knew. Robert at Daybird Aviaries, he homeschools his children. He helped me a lot.
Laura at Simply Making It.
Laura at Simply Making It, she had homeschooled her children, and I just didn't know a lot of people.
Wes and
Angie Blair over at the Naked Hog, they homeschool their kids. But as far as in this community, I didn't know where to start.
Yeah, we didn't know. In hours, I'm talking about hours and hours of looking at curriculums.
I felt like I would drop her off at school, and as soon as I got home, I wanted to go to bed, but I needed to look for curriculum, and we ended up buying an all-in-one package, which was not the best thing to do. We found out over months and made some changes, but you have to start somewhere.
Because
you have to
especially if you never taught your kid anything, you don't know what kind
of learner
she is. We found out Marycarl just is not a big reader. You know, she reads, but that's in the curriculum we bought was
literature-based curriculum, and she's not one that's going to go sit down with a book unless it's about birds and want to read and enjoy the story that she's reading.
And some kids are big readers, but Marycarl is not one of them.
But I chose a literature-based program to begin with, and in turn realized that probably wasn't what I should have done, and I made changes along the way, and that's the beauty of homeschooling. You can do what you want to.
That's right.
And we made changes, and we knew what we needed to do different this year, and we did so. Yep. So I feel like we are home free now. I feel like this year is just it's going to be so different than it was last year. All those what ifs and questions that we had, they're answered, and it was a very stressful first 3 months or so after we got started.
It was.
You know, by Christmas we were all smooth sailing.
Yep,
we realized that it was going to work for us, and you know, she says, "I'm not going back to school."
That's what she says.
I'm not going back to school, but you know, and it's your kid's preference.
That's right.
She's got plenty of social activeness away from school, and
well, she's got 2 really good friends.
She does, and you know, I don't care how many friends she has as long as she's happy, and that was our bottom line: is do what makes your child happy.
Right. And the 2 friends she's got are the exact same 2 friends she had when she was at the school.
That's right. That's right.
And one of them's homeschooled, and then the other one moved to North Alabama.
Yeah, Piper was in her class, and Piper's parents made the decision the same year we did to homeschool their children. And we were able to enter that we didn't know what we were doing zone together.
Right.
And it's worked out for both of us. Piper says she's not going back either. Nor is Tristan. So
that's right.
It's it's just about what works best for you, your family, and your child. It's not for everybody.
Yep, I agree.
And I don't force that on anybody. I don't say, you know, you need to homeschool because that's the way we do it.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
No.
It's on a child-to-child, parent-to-parent basis.
That's right. Everybody, you know, do what's best
different.
for you.
You got to do what's best for you and what works for you. So make life a little simpler and easier, and you know, whatever you can do to enjoy the years that we have on this earth. Because I enjoy mine every day.
Yes, every day. I have to pinch myself.
I'm going to have to enjoy a little crunch as we end this, because I'm going to have figs all in my teeth.
Well, you guys stay tuned for the next couple of videos, because we're going to meet with a site guy. We'll do a window and door reveal. There's some more videos coming in the next week. So that are, matter of fact, we recorded one yesterday. We'll just keep it a secret.
Yeah, it'll be a secret.
But we went on a little trip yesterday to our friends at JK Farm. So y'all stay tuned for that. And as always, y'all be good.